It is so nice to be in Arnold Palmer country. I want to thank the Rossis for allowing us to use their property to set all this up. Isn't this wonderful? I've been in radio for about 25 years. I'm in about 200 markets right now. My home base is in Los Angeles. Quick story about how I got into radio. I'm a lawyer, and I was writing an op-ed piece for the newspaper. And I said, government is too big, taxes are too high, there's too much regulation, there's too much government intrusion. And by the way, racism is no longer a major problem in America. This is 25 years ago, so I guess to say something like that was revolutionary. So I get a phone call from a producer of a radio show, invited me on the radio, didn't care about what I said about taxes, didn't care what I said about regulations, didn't care what I said about the intrusiveness of the federal government, but he said, as a black person, you really believe that racism is no longer a major problem in America? And I said, no, I don't. So I was on the show for an hour. Cleveland is about 50 or 60% black, so almost all the phone calls were from black people. I was called an Uncle Tom, a foot-shuffling Uncle Tom, a bootlicking, foot-shuffling Uncle Tom, an Oreo, as in brown on the outside, white on the inside, a coconut, same concept, the Antichrist, and I was called the word that you call a black person when you really, really want to cut to the quick and wound and scald it. I was called Republican. A man can only take so much. So I get back to my office, the general manager of the station calls. He says, I heard you. You were amazing. I said, I was? He said, oh my goodness, you were funny. You had a good voice. You were taking difficult positions. You defended them without losing your temper. Have you ever thought about doing talk radio? And I said, no. He said, I got a guy going on vacation next week. Will you sit in for him? I said, no. He said, why? I said, I don't like it. I don't like being yelled at. I don't like yelling at other people. It seems stupid. No, thank you. He said, are you married? At the time I was. He said, do me a favor, go home to your wife, talk it over, and then call me tomorrow. I think maybe you'll change your mind. I said, I'll do that, but I doubt that I'll change my mind. So I went home to my then wife, Cindy, and I told her about the opportunity. She said, what do you think about talk radio? I said, I know nothing about it, other than it seems shallow, glib, and stupid. She said, it is. You'd be good at it. Gives you some idea what happened to that marriage. I am a Republican because of my dad. My dad was born in 1915 in Athens, Georgia. Only child born to an illiterate mother. We celebrate my dad's birthday on May 25 because when he enrolled in kindergarten, the teacher asked him what his birthday was, and because his mother could neither read nor write, she couldn't write it down. And so we celebrate the name of the administrator who enrolled him in school. His mother had a series of boyfriends, each one more irresponsible than the one before. My last name is Elder. Elder was the name of the man who was in his life the longest, but he wasn't there very long. My dad was 13 years old, comes home, has a quarrel with his mother's then boyfriend, and she sides with the boyfriend and throws my father out of the house, never to return again. You're talking about a black boy, Athens, Georgia, Jim Crow South, right at the beginning of the Great Depression. It's hard to find a hand of cards dealt that bad. My father goes to the next door and next door and next door until somebody gives him work. My father had a series of Dickensian low-level jobs. He finally got a job on the Pullman Porters. They were the largest private employer of blacks in those days. Traveled all around the country and came to California where it seemed sunnier, people seemed more friendly. My dad made a mental note that maybe someday he would retire there. World War II breaks out. My dad joins the Marines. I asked him why. Hoorah, hoorah. I asked him why. He said, they went where the action was and I love the uniforms. My dad was stationed on the island of Guam. He became a staff sergeant in charge of cooking facilities. When the war was over, he returned to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where he had met and married my mom, and tried to get him a job as a short-order cook. He went to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant, and he was told, we don't hire niggers. My father went to an unemployment office. He went to the door. The lady sent him back out the door, said he went to the wrong door. He went to the colored-only door, walked back to the same lady who sent him out. My dad said, this is BS, I'm going to California. He goes to California, goes to restaurant to restaurant to restaurant, 1945, to get him a job as a cook, and he's told, you have no references, which was California's way of saying the same thing. They were just a little more polite. My dad even offered to work for free to get a reference. They wouldn't even do that. So my dad went to an unemployment office, this time just one door. That's how much more progressive California was. He sat in a chair for a day and a half until the lady finally called him up and she said, I have something for you. I don't know whether or not you'll take it. My dad said, I'm sure I'll take it. What is it? She said, it's a job with a company called Nabisco cleaning toilets. My dad took that job for 10 years, took a second job at a company called Barbara Ann Bread, cleaning toilets, cooked for a family on the weekend, and went to night school 2 to 3 nights a week to get his GED. I never saw a human being work that hard. My dad was a lifelong Republican. He saved his nickels. Thank you. He saved his nickels and dimes and started a small cafe when he was in his late 40s. He ran that until his late 80s, bought the property next door and the house next door, and of course his own home, and retired quite comfortably. And my dad told my brothers and me, hard work wins. You get out of life what you put into it. You can't control the outcome, but you are 100% in charge of the effort. And before you bitch and moan and whine about what somebody did to you, find the nearest mirror, look into it and say, what could I have done to change the outcome? And my dad said, no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you are, sooner or later, bad things are going to happen to you. How you respond to those bad things will tell you whether or not your mother and I raised a man. To which I would always say, not too much pressure, Dad. And my dad said the Democratic Party wants to give you something for nothing. And when you try and get something for nothing, you almost always end up getting nothing for something. My dad's particular anger to the Democratic Party was the welfare state. My dad felt that the welfare state incentivized women to marry the government and allowed men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. It has been a neutron bomb dropped on this country, particularly dropped on the black family. When I was in college, 25% of black kids were born outside of wedlock. Now that number is 73%. And I didn't say this, Obama said. When a child is raised without a dad, he's 5 times more likely to be poor, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in jail. It is the #1 social problem in the country, the #1 problem in the inner city. If you believe that parents should be incentivized to marry each other, then you only have one choice. If you believe that government schools are often bad and that parents should have a choice to take their kid out of that bad government school, then you have a choice. If you believe that burdening job creators with things like minimum wage and unleashing the EPA, for every year Obama has been in office, there have been $100 billion of new regulation put on the back of job creators, $800 billion in the 8 years that Obama has been in office. If you believe that this is a crime, then you have but one choice. If you believe that government should not be the parent and the people should not be the children, you have a choice, and that choice is Donald Trump, 2016. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.